At exactly 2:37 a.m., my heart stopped beating. There was no alarm, no warning, no gut feeling that something was about to happen. Just a quiet pain, sharp and sudden, like a safety pin plunging deep into my chest, tearing open everything I once believed was solid. I remember getting up to grab a glass of water, and the next thing I knew, I was sprawled out on the cold kitchen floor. No one was there, just me, a 56-year-old man living alone in a neat, tidy apartment that somehow felt colder and emptier than a grave. I remember once saying, "I'm not afraid of dying," but that was when I was still alive. And when death came, I didn't scream, I didn't call out for God, I didn't see my life flash before my eyes. I only heard one question echo through the silence: "Where is your heart?" At first, I thought it was a hallucination, but the voice didn't come from outside. It came from somewhere deeper, beyond memory, beyond thought. The question wasn't demanding an answer. It was waiting for me to pause, waiting for me to look inward, waiting for me to be honest. I had lived long enough to know, a man can hide from the world, but he can't hide from the question that comes from the other side of life. I tried to open my eyes, but the light disappeared, like someone had pulled the plug. I saw nothing, just a bottomless black. And yet, strangely, in that darkness, I felt lighter than I'd ever been. No more weight of bones or flesh, no ticking of time, no worn-out version of myself, just a raw, exposed awareness. I could see myself, or more accurately, I could feel my existence as a conscious mist. And then, as if someone had pulled back the curtain of reality, I began to be drawn somewhere, not with feet, but with intention. No one called my name, no one held my hand, but I knew I was being taken somewhere by a force I couldn't resist. It wasn't frightening, but it was absolute. As I continued moving, the question returned: "Where is your heart?" But this time, it wasn't just a question. It was a key, a summons, a sentence, a wake-up call. That single question, in some inexplicable way, stripped away every mask I had ever worn. I had once been a manager, a husband, a churchgoer, the kind of man who always said, "I'm fine," no matter what was happening. But now, with no identity left to hide behind, I was faced with one unavoidable truth: my heart. And I didn't know where it was. Maybe I had left it behind in the office after too many late nights. Maybe it shattered during the last argument with my son, the one I never apologized for. Maybe it was locked away the day I buried my parents and didn't shed a single tear. Or maybe it was never really where it belonged in the first place. I always thought a near-death experience would begin with a brilliant light, heavenly music, maybe angels with outstretched arms. But no, it began with absolute silence, with darkness, and with a single question: where is your heart? And if you think it ends there, it doesn't. Because what I was about to witness didn't just change how I saw this life, it changed how I understood the very beginning of our world. Have you ever wondered how the earth began, not according to science or textbooks, but through the eyes of a soul that had just left the body? What I saw next was the moment of creation itself, and I'll tell you exactly what I witnessed. I don't know how long I had been drifting. In that place, there was no time, no early, no late, only now, a now that stretched endlessly, as if every moment existed all at once. I wasn't seeing with my eyes. I was sensing with a perception that has no name in the physical world. It was like not just hearing a piece of music, but becoming the music itself. And suddenly, I realized I was no longer drifting. I was being taken somewhere, or rather, into a state of being. Then the light appeared. Not blinding, not heavy, but soft like the blanket you once wrapped yourself in as a child. It had no single color, yet contained every hue imaginable. I heard a sound, not with my ears, but as if it soaked into every thread of my awareness. It wasn't a human voice. It was the tone of life itself, uncorrupted and pure. And then I saw it. The earth. Not the blue planet floating in space as shown in textbooks, but a living, breathing being forming, pulsing, contracting like the heartbeat of a divine embryo. I didn't see an explosion. I saw an intention, a first vibration, gentle as a breath, yet carrying the power to shape an entire universe. I saw light breaking into movement. Movement becomes waves. Waves transform into water. Water giving way to land. Land birthing vibration. Vibration becomes rhythm. It didn't unfold in a linear sequence, but like a symphony, millions of layers of creation happening all at once in perfect harmony. I didn't see who made it, but I knew with a certainty that needed no proof, none of this was random. There was purpose, a heart, an eternal blueprint behind what looked like chaos. And I also knew this. I wasn't just witnessing it like a spectator. I was remembering something my soul had known long before I was ever born. I saw beings of light working together, not like laborers, but like co-creators, like artists. There was no jealousy, no rivalry, only pure harmony, so profound it moved me to tears. Every grain of dust is placed precisely. Every tremor in the planet's crust was like the opening beat of a sacred symphony. And then I realized what brought me to tears. Earth wasn't created out of power, it was created out of love. I felt that love moving through every layer of light, every breath of air, every thought. And I understood none of us are accidents. No one is extra. Life isn't an equation. It's the oldest whisper of God. And when humankind appeared, carrying free will, that wasn't a flaw. It was a gift, a sacred risk so that love could be chosen, not programmed. I didn't need to ask anyone, but every question I had ever had about life, death, sin, and justice was suddenly just understood, not explained, not answered with words, but known, because my soul had always known. It was only my body that had forgotten. And just when I thought I had seen everything, I sensed another presence approaching. It wasn't just more light, it was the source of all light, a gentle gravity that nothing could resist. And with it, I knew he was coming. Have you ever dreamed of meeting someone not with your eyes, but with your soul? What happened next was the most powerful encounter of my life, when I came face to face with him. Not through words, but through absolute truth. And he didn't preach, he simply asked me one question. Where is your heart? I didn't see him walk toward me, because he didn't need to. He was simply there, like the sunrise, unhurried, silent, but by the time you noticed, the whole world had already changed. There was no distinct face, no long beard, no white robe like the paintings I'd seen growing up. But I knew. Without introduction, without a name tag, without a chorus of angels to announce him, I knew. It was Jesus. He wasn't like anyone I had ever met. He wasn't like anything I had ever been taught in church. He didn't look at me with his eyes. He looked at me with the purest essence of unconditional love. That light didn't blind me. It revealed me. Every crack in my soul came into view. What had I hidden all my life? My hardness, my little lies, my exhausted strength pretending to be resilient, my loneliness disguised as responsibility. But before him, every mask I had ever worn fell away, not by force, but simply because truth doesn't need to shout. And he didn't preach. He didn't speak of sin. He didn't hand me a list of what I had done right or wrong. He just asked one question, the same question I had heard before my soul left my body, but now asked with the weight of the entire universe behind it. Where is your heart? It didn't echo in sound. It resonated within me like the heartbeat of 1,000 forgotten souls. It wasn't a question seeking an answer. It was a call to return to myself. And then I saw my childhood, a boy who used to write poems but never showed them to anyone, a boy who wanted to cry when his father hit his mother but stood still like a shadow. I saw the decisions I once called reasonable, but deep down, they were just ways to silence my inner voice. I saw my first marriage, the conversations I cut short, the hugs I avoided out of discomfort, the words I wanted to say but never did, and I knew my heart wasn't there. I saw the hollow prayers, the church services I attended like a machine, the times I bowed my head not out of reverence, but out of fear of what others would think. I saw myself saying, "I'm fine," while feeling empty inside. I saw the times I blamed God for not helping me, when in truth, I had never really opened my heart to be loved. And then I saw it. My heart had been left behind on the very path I had called life. But he didn't condemn me. There was no "you should have." There was only patience, so overwhelming it melted me. The kind of patience only a being could offer who has loved you even through the 1,000 times you've walked away. I couldn't handle it, not because it hurt, but because that love was too real, too beautiful, too pure to believe I deserved it. And just when I collapsed, not physically, but in my soul, I heard a second voice, gentle as a breeze, yet powerful enough to rebuild all that I was. "I never left you." I cried, not out of fear, but because for the first time in my life, I knew what it meant to be loved for nothing, for no reason, just loved. In that moment, I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to live again, but I knew he hadn't called me there to stay. He called me there to see, to remember, to return, and to live again, but this time with my heart. Have you ever been given a second chance? Not just to keep living, but to change the way you live? I woke up with a jolt, like being pulled from the bottom of the ocean. The monitor beeped steadily. The room was bright white. The smell of antiseptic stung my nose, a bitter reminder that I had returned. My body felt like it had been filled with lead. My heart was racing, and a doctor was calling my name. But inside me, there was a stillness, complete and absolute. Not because I was tired, but because I knew. I was no longer Richard D. Hayes as I once was. I lay there, eyes fixed on the ceiling, not asking what had happened, not crying, not laughing. Because on a level deeper than any emotion, I had just experienced something too real to be described with the language of this world. I remembered everything. I remembered the light. I remembered the question. I remembered that Earth was born from love. And I remembered him. In the days that followed, doctors came to check on me. Nurses asked how I was. Family called, and everyone said the same thing. "You're lucky. You died, but you came back." But no one knew the luck wasn't that I survived. The real miracle was that I was shown what it means to truly live. I don't know how long I lay on that kitchen floor, somewhere between the blur of darkness and the flicker of life. But I know this: I didn't come back on my own. Someone found me. And the irony, it wasn't family, it wasn't a close neighbor, it was the new water delivery guy, barely 2 weeks on the job. He said it was raining that day, and the schedule had changed. For some reason, he forgot to knock and walked straight into the kitchen, like someone had guided him. He told the doctors he had barely called out Mr. Hayes once when he saw me lying there, my face purple, my body cold. He called 911 immediately. He never left my side. He held my hand and cried in a panic, as if I were his kin. I later heard his voice in the 911 recording, trembling. "I don't know him, but I just don't think he should die alone." That one sentence choked me up. No one should die alone. How many people have left this world with no one by their side, no hand to hold, no eyes to witness their final breath? I had nearly become one of them. If it hadn't been for that delivery guy, a man I'd never even asked the name of. After I recovered, I asked the hospital to let me meet him. I just needed to look into the eyes of someone who stayed, someone who had no obligation, no reason, and yet chose not to walk away. When he walked in, still wearing his water delivery uniform, eyes red and glassy from emotion, I said just one thing: "You brought my heart back." And I realized something profound. Sometimes the people who seem to pass briefly through our lives are the ones who hold the thread between life and death, not because they're extraordinary, but because they show up. My story isn't about some grand miracle. It's a series of small moments where love, coincidence, and anonymous kindness met in perfect alignment. And I believe none of it was random. That delivery man didn't just happen to show up. That rain didn't just happen to fall. Life, when we learn to truly listen, is like a delicate symphony where every note is placed by an invisible hand with purpose. I began to see everything differently. Every cup of coffee, every bird at dawn, the sunlight was casting through the window. I saw life in every detail. One day I was walking through the park and saw a little boy eating ice cream with his grandmother. I stood there and the tears just came. Not from sudden emotion, but because I could feel the love, genuine, present, sacred, happening in that simple moment. Love doesn't need an announcement. It doesn't need to be grand. It only needs to show up. I didn't change the world. I just changed how I live in it. I started calling my son more often, not to ask what he was up to, but simply to say, "I miss you." I apologized to my ex-wife for the things I used to brush off as small. I visited an old friend dying of cancer, not to cheer him up or offer advice, but just to sit there and hold his hand, silent but real. I didn't start going to church more often, and I didn't become a preacher. But every morning, I sit in stillness, place my hand over my chest, and ask myself the same old question: where is my heart today? That question, oddly enough, no longer frightens me. It's become my compass, my inner North Star in a noisy, distracted world. There was a time I saw a stranger crying on a park bench, a middle-aged woman holding a framed photo of a child she had just lost. I didn't ask her anything. I simply sat beside her and said, "I died once. I saw that the people we love don't disappear. They just walk through the door a little sooner than we do." She didn't respond, but her eyes softened. Her hand found mine, and in that moment, I knew I wasn't just living for myself anymore. I began to believe that maybe prayer doesn't always need to be spoken. Maybe it's our full, honest presence that is the living prayer. And I wonder if every person placed their heart back into the smallest moments, would the world still need anything grand? And then one day, I returned to the very place I had collapsed, the cold kitchen floor where my heart had once stopped beating. But this time, I wasn't pulled away. I stood there, calm and steady, because I knew I had finally placed my heart where it belongs. And now, I want to tell you the one thing I am certain of after dying once and coming back, the one truth that gives life its meaning. I returned to the place where I had died, not to test anything, not to tempt fate, and certainly not to relive old memories. I came back because I needed to close a circle. The kitchen floor was the same. The small scratch under the dining table still sat quietly. The glass I dropped that night had long been cleared away by someone, leaving behind a space that whispered of what once was. The overhead light still cast that pale yellow glow, the last light I ever saw with human eyes. I stood there, no longer afraid, no longer searching. I didn't need a sign from heaven. I placed my hand over my chest, over the heart that once stopped beating, and for the first time in my life, I felt it beating for something real. I thought of the question I'd once heard: where is your heart? I used to be terrified by it. I didn't know how to answer. I tried to outrun it with 1,000 roles: father, husband, churchgoer, professional. But now, that question no longer felt like a sentence. It had become light, a compass, a reminder that I was finally living in the right direction. I no longer feel the need to prove anything to anyone. I'm not chasing some grand legacy to leave behind, because now I understand. The quiet, kind, honest way I live each day is the loudest declaration I can make of God's presence in this world. You don't need to meet Jesus to start living from the heart. You don't need to die and come back to know what matters. You just need to pause for a moment, look deep within yourself, and ask honestly, where is my heart? Not in your words, not in your degrees, titles, or achievements, but in how you love someone when they are at their weakest, in the embrace with no conditions, in the silent forgiveness, in those early mornings when you simply sit beside your child, not to teach or correct, but just to be there. I'm not sharing this story so you'll believe me. I'm sharing it so you'll remember your own, the one you might have forgotten while chasing something the world calls life, but that left your soul behind along the way. I'm not special. I'm just someone who died. But I'm also someone who was loved so deeply, so unconditionally, that love itself brought me back. I no longer ask, where is God? Because I now know He asked me first, where is your heart? And in the end, that question was the one that led me home. If you've ever had a moment of awakening, if your soul has ever been stirred by something beyond reason, share your story. Because maybe, just maybe, the words you leave here will be the light someone else is searching for in their darkest hour.